fans, how are we doing? We are here to preview our match day 3 game in the Champions League group stage against Inter Milan. It's the beginning of a very busy week here, but it's always exciting when the Champions League comes back. A crucial game against Inter at the Giuseppe Meazza, which will look to gain some separation with the Italian side and try to get closer to qualifying for the next stage in the Champions League. Joining me here in the studio are Natalia Ostroska and Spencer Siegel. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, great. Happy to be here after the international break with obviously the Champions League mood.
Spencer, we're in October mode. We're there.
We're ready to go.
Exciting times.
This is such a great month if you're a football fan. If you're a Barça fan, this is going to be outstanding. And we're wasting no time. We're kicking it right off.
Well, we're wasting no time, and we're going to go to Italy to talk to Bruno Ballester, who's in the press room. Bruno, let us know what's going on there.
Yes, hello and good afternoon. We are here in the press room of the Giuseppe Meazza because in about 15 minutes, Marcos Alonso and Xavi Hernandez will appear here and will give their reactions previewing this Internazionale FC Barcelona game, match day 3 of the Champions League. Here in Italy, everyone seems this game like a big final, as they assume that Bayern Munich are going to end top of the group and that this second spot will be a battle between Inter and Barça, both teams arriving with the same number of points. The Catalan side that has arrived this midday to Milano, second biggest city here in Italy, an hour, 20 minutes flight, with all the available players and of course with high expectations for tomorrow's game. Here in Italy today, in the press room, Simone Inzaghi has been saying that of course Barça are one of the best teams in the world, that they didn't deserve to lose against Bayern. And the Italian side are not arriving in their best. They lost against AS Rome this weekend, 4 wins, 4 defeats in the league. So they also see this game as a chance to change this dynamic. Of course, tomorrow is going to be a big day here in the Giuseppe Meazza in Italy. And as we have been saying, in around less than 15 minutes, Marcos Alonso and Xavi Hernandez will give here their reaction. So, well, everything ready here in the press room, and we will talk to you guys during the live training session. Remember, at 7 o'clock, so yeah, a busy schedule today here in Italy in this preview of this big Champions League night that will be tomorrow with Internazionale Barça.
Well, thank you, Bruno. We'll talk to you later on in the training session. As Bruno mentioned, Inter not going through their best moment right now. Defeat at the weekend against AS Roma. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games.
Yes, and the Italian press says that maybe Inzaghi is playing for his job tomorrow.
Oof. I mean, it's a situation which can go but 2 ways for Barca. You can have an Italian side, you can have Inter coming out like cutthroat, fighting for their lives, figuratively, or you can go there to kill.
Yeah, I think the way that they've started this season makes it really difficult for them too in this position with the number of injuries that they have. I think both of these teams have had to deal with a lot in the way of injuries. For Barca, it was during the international break. Now for Inter, they have several players who aren't going to be able to play, several key players. And because of that, I think this is an opportunity for Barca to take advantage of it. And when Xavi talks about this in the pregame, in the lead-up, I'm guaranteeing you he's going to tell you that we're not focused on them, we're focused on us.
Most definitely, always. That's the approach. You mentioned it, Spence. Both teams have important absences. Barca have travelled today without the injuries that we knew of Hector Bellerin, the ones who we lost during the international break, Ronald Araujo, Jules Koundé, Memphis, and Frankie de Jong, who finally didn't make the list either. Those 5 important absences for Xavi Hernandez, who was able, in spite of that, to display some variations in the lineup against Mallorca.
Yes, I think it was a victory achieved with, very little cost, and also with for the rest of the key players like Pedri and Gavi, who I'm sure will be both in the lineup today, and also the key players that Inter has lost. Lukaku and Brozovic, and we don't know yet about Lautaro Martinez, although the injury has been ruled out, but we still don't know if he's going to play tomorrow.
Let's take a look at those images of the travel this morning of the team to Milan. There we go, the team headed with Xavi Hernandez and President Joan Laporta to the Italian city. Obviously, the juvenile team, the under-19 team, also travelled to play in the youth league, and Barca looking for their second win in this Champions League group stage. As I said, trying to gain separation with Inter Milan. Both teams tied right now at 3 points with 1 win each. Marcos Alonso is the player who's going to be speaking in the press conference in just a few minutes. They arrived just before lunchtime in Milan. They will be training later on, in just about under an hour, at the Giuseppe Meazza Stadium. All is ready for what we hope, Spence, will be a win tomorrow for Barca.
Yeah, I love the fact that the youth team gets to have these experiences too, because we've seen recently that a lot of these players have had to make those jumps from the youth teams, from the juvenile squad, to the senior team, and even in between. I mean, this is great experience for everybody. A lot of these players on Barca's first team are experiencing this group stage for the first time with Barca because of the new signings that we've had, or because they've been called up from other places. And there's really no better atmosphere than Milan to take in a game in Italy.
Let's talk a little bit about Inter, the team that we'll be facing tomorrow, as we said, or you mentioned Natalia, Brozovic and Lukaku. 2 key absences and a very irregular start for them this season. In the Serie A, 4 wins and 4 defeats. They've scored 14 goals but conceded 13. They've got some question marks there surrounding the goalkeeping position, because Onana's been playing in the Champions League, Handanovic in the Serie A, but Simone Inzaghi's starting to face questions about that as well. Last season, they got knocked out by Liverpool in the Champions League, and with the absences of Lukaku and Brozovic, we've picked Lautaro, Barella and Skriniar as players to watch. Dumfries also another one to keep an eye on down that right flank.
Yes, I remember he scored against Pilsen.
Yep.
So
Scored on the counter-attack, assisted by Dzeko, who will probably pair with Lautaro up front. Simone Inzaghi earlier on said that Lautaro will probably be ready. He's not 100%. He received a knock and has some discomfort after facing Roma at the weekend. But I'm pretty sure we'll see Lautaro tomorrow.
Yeah, and for me, it's Barella. He's the guy. He's the one that Barca have to make sure they have their eye on throughout this game. I thought he was one of the best players, especially one of the best young players over the last 2 or 3 years when he was playing with Italy in the Euros 2 years or last year. He's very slippery, which is what you have to look out for when you're trying to defend what will likely end up being several counterattacks, depending on how this game plays out, of course. But Barca will probably have most of the ball, and Inter will be looking to strike in the opposite direction. He's just the one that I want to keep my eye on.
Definitely, he's one of the key pieces in midfield. Inter Milan transitioned from Antonio Conte to Simone Inzaghi last season. Conte, a very defensive coach. Inzaghi wants to have more control of the ball, and that midfield with Barella, with Çalhanoğlu and Brozovic, who'll be missing tomorrow, very important absence for them, is the key to that. They're going to try and take the ball away from Barca, which is going to be difficult. As Simone Inzaghi said today, Barca are one of the teams that treat the ball better in Europe, along with City and Manchester City and Bayern.
yeah, of course, and and they are maybe in more difficult position than us right now. I mean, in the group stage, but obviously it's a clue game for Barca, this one and the next one, because it will define absolutely how the rest of the Champions League is going to go this season.
Most definitely. If you get the 2 wins against Inter Milan, you're basically there, because you've taken out your main opponent in Inter, and you can fight for the first spot with Bayern Munich. Let's focus a little bit on how we arrived to this game. Let's take a look at the highlights of Saturday's game in Mallorca. Guys, not the best of games, that typical after international duty game, but Barca got the job done.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it was, as I said before, a victory achieved by, very low resources. I mean, no injuries, important game this week, a packed October with a lot of games in La Liga and also in the Champions League. So, important victory and
an important goal as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's always easier, Spence, when you've got that guy.
Yeah, you can't say enough about the goal, but when this game, which as it was very difficult, you needed a couple of breaks. I thought this was a big one because that ball probably should have hit the back of the net. Ter Stegen makes a great play, but he can only be in so many places at one time. And in the end, it was the tale of going on the road and grinding out 3 points. And as Irati said yesterday, the types of goals that what we saw Saturday with Lewandowski, are the types of goals that win titles, because they have to come from dirty areas. They have to come out of nowhere, and he did that. And Barça, in the end, did enough defensively and in terms of creating a couple of chances, making saves, to get all 3 points.
You talk about making saves. Marc-Andre ter Stegen beat his own record of minutes without conceding a goal in La Liga. He's now at 534. In the Champions League, though, we have conceded in both games, so that's something that we'll definitely have to work on tomorrow.
Yes, and I think that's something Xavi is going to... he's going to touch this topic on the press conference, as also he did with Bayern. Obviously, as we know, we couldn't achieve the clean sheet in the game against Bayern, but hopefully we can go for the first clean sheet in the Champions League tomorrow.
And clean sheet goes for ter Stegen, obviously, but you've got the defensive aspect as well, the defensive line where we've got key players out. We've got Koundé and Araujo out. We've got Bellerin out as well as an option at right back. So we'll have to see how Xavi juggles things tomorrow. Marcos Alonso didn't play the other day. Could mean that he's starting tomorrow. He's talking in the press conference in just a few minutes. We'll see if Sergio Roberto is fit enough to start at right back. And then you've got the options of Christensen, Eric and Piqué. We'll have to see. We've seen what we've done in the league. Let's take a look at what we've done in the Champions League so far. The win against Victoria Pilsen and the defeat in Munich, which, going over the highlights earlier on, I still can't believe we lost that game. But first, the 5-1 win at the Camp Nou. Kessié opened the scoring, and the only game so far in which Robert Lewandowski has scored a hat-trick. Yes,
but hopefully we are going to see another one. Maybe tomorrow, and if not, hopefully in the next few weeks. And that was a very good game of Robert Lewandowski and for all Barça. Obviously he had some chances against Bayern. He couldn't score against Neuer, but hopefully he is back on the track tomorrow.
Yeah, this was a game that I remember when we were doing it, we were starting to count how many were they going to get to, because they were in such great form, and they still are, but obviously dealing with changes to their squad, they have to shuffle some things around. So they can still be in great form, but they do have to find their way. And this team is at the peak in this game, I think, of what we've seen this season in terms of execution, because they just didn't stop throughout the entire game. They just kept coming, and it was evidenced by the goals that they scored in the second half, including when Sergio Roberto came in and scored that late goal, right? Because this too. Oh, that goal was...
That goal by Ferran Torres.
That's the one for me. That was the one of the day.
Right, we're going to go to Milan because our colleague Marc Brau has been able to talk to Xavi Hernandez before the press conferences start. So let's hear what Xavi had to say.
Del Barça ja ens atén. Xavi, què tal? Bona tarda.
Bona tarda.
Good
afternoon, Xavi.
He's
asking about the match between Inter and Barça. What's the importance of the match tomorrow? He says, for us, it's very important. Not a definitive match, but there's a lot of pressure on this match, a lot riding on this match. We've got this doubt about Bayern, but we need these 3 points. Next week, we'll play at home, but this is an away match. They're very strong physically, very strong in attack. They always play in the points that are very difficult for us to defend well against. But we want to dominate the ball, play our game. They're not in the best moment of form. And so we need to show that we're in the good dynamic. It'll be a very important match for us because it could help us go from the group stage. So he's asking about their moment in the league. He says it could mean they come out more aggressive, stronger in defence, and so we'll have to show the personality that we play with. Playing match style, play like we did against Mallorca, keeping control of the ball, and do better than we did against Munich, be more effective. It's the Champions League, and you can't pardon any mistakes in this competition. We need to play our game style.
Diferències, no?, de jugar amb tres centrals com ho fa l'Inter, com ho va fer el Mallorca dissabte.
Serà diferent.
It'll be different than the match against Mallorca, he says. They've got strong points. They play really well into the places. He says we'll have to evaluate how they play. They're very strong in defence. They've got strong centre-backs. They play really well getting the ball into the area, depending on who plays. It'll be very important for us.
Xavi, how is the importance of this game? Only third game on the group phase, but how important can be to win tomorrow here in Milan?
Well, it's very important for us. It's a difficult game because we are playing against a great team, Inter Milan. They are very well organized, very good defensively, so it will be really tough, but we are here to win, of course, the three points.
Gràcies, Xavi, que hagi sort. En anglès, Xavi.
Those were the words of our head coach, Xavi Hernandez, analysing the game for us on Barça TV+. We are waiting for the official press conferences previewing tomorrow's game with Marcos Alonso talking first and then our head coach, Xavi Hernandez. Xavi talking there about how dangerous Inter can be in this situation in which it's do or die for them. You said, Natalia, that they are saying that Simone Inzaghi might be playing for his job. Also the system that we're facing tomorrow, one in which Inter play with three at the back, two wing-backs that are very fast, especially Dumfries on the right. So those are the threats for Barca tomorrow. And that midfield, Xavi was mentioning as well, with Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan if he plays, Varela.
Yes, and obviously, as you said, the team which is in the situation with the knife on their throat, I think they can be much more dangerous than any other situation because they are playing for everything. So I think that makes them a really, really difficult opponent for tomorrow.
Yeah, defensively for Barca, given what they've had to go through in terms of their injuries, that is their biggest test because they have to figure out who's going to stay back and make sure that especially these two wingers don't make their way up the pitch and beat the likes of Balde or Jordi Alba or Marcos Alonso, whoever's playing in those positions back there, which is still another thing that remains to be seen. So that for them should be one of their main focuses because of the back line.
You mentioned Marcos Alonso, and we have him talking to our colleague Mar Brau as well. So let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Marcos, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estamos?
Ahora te lo preguntaba, tú has jugado en este estadio con la camiseta de la Fiorentina contra el Inter, contra...
So he says you have already played in this stadium, playing in Serie A. So what do you think about this match ahead of Inter? So this can be a really good match. Having played here before, it's got to be something that helps with the motivation. That's going to be important. It's going to be difficult, but I think we're training well. We're in a good moment, and we hope to be able to take away the 3 points. It's a different competition to La Liga, but you're starting really well in La Liga. Can that help in the Champions League too? It's a distinct competition, but it helps us to arrive in a good moment. Xavi wants us to keep improving, and we can put on a good match tomorrow. He says you're one of the last players to arrive in Barca. Do you think you're now well adapted, having the international break to train? He says, yeah, it's helped me. The pre-season was a bit staccato for me, but having now got into the team, I'm very happy, and I'm very keen to play. He says, do you think this could be a bit of a coup d'etat for the group tomorrow? He says it's clear that they're very important 3 points, aside from the message we can send to the group. They're important 3 points, and we'll go out to try and get them.
How important is to win tomorrow against a special team as Inter is, and the difficulty that Inter has in the last seasons here in the Champions? How do you see the game?
Yeah, it's a strong team. For sure it will be difficult to get the 3 points tomorrow, but we are in a good run. We need to take advantage of that and go for the 3 points tomorrow.
Gracias, Marcos. Que hagi sort.
Gracias.
Las palabras de Marcos Alonso.
Marcos Alonso there talking to our colleague Mar Brau. He started against Bayern Munich. Natalia, do you think he starts tomorrow?
I think so. I think so because he had quite a good game against Bayern. Maybe without that error with the first goal, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he maybe he was to blame there, but I think we are going to see him tomorrow in the lineup.
Well, Marcos Alonso talked to our colleague Barbara and headed straight for the press room. So let's hear what he has to say in the press conference.
Bona tarda a tothom, buonasera. Benvenuti alla conferenza stampa del giocatore Marcos Alonso. Benvinguts a la roda de premsa del jugador Marcos Alonso. Comencem amb aquí davant. Alfredo, sí.
¿Qué tal, Marcos? Buenas tardes. Alfredo Martínez, Onda Cero. Me imagino que cuando llegaste al Barcelona, uno de tus grandes objetivos
He says when you arrived in Barca, one of your main objectives would have been to win such a great competition like the Champions League. Do you think it's something that Barca can reach doing this season? He says, well, it's a bit early to start talking about this. We've got a difficult match tomorrow. We need to be focused to be able to bring the 3 points home. I think we are coming into this match in a good moment. To talk right now about whether we're in contention for the Champions League or not is a bit early.
Hola Marcos, aquí Marta Ramón de RACU. Debutaste en Múnich.
Since you made your debut in Munich in a very demanding stage, now we're knocking on the door of another demanding situation. Did you expect to go from 0 to 100? And if there's something that you're finding difficult in the adaptation to the new team?
Bueno, hasta ahora creo que poco a poco adaptándome a
Until now, I've been little by little adapting to this new team
al nuevo míster y a los
and to the new coach and my new teammates.
Pero bueno, la verdad que
But the truth is that I'm happy
y bueno, ese es mi trabajo, ¿no? Intentar estar
and
al
doing my work, trying to be 100% for when the coach needs me,
y en eso es en lo que estoy trabajando.
and that's what I'm working on.
Germán.
¿Qué tal, Marcos? Germán García, Radio Nacional. No sé, tu posición, evidentemente, como lateral izquierdo, es la que
Your
manejas mejor.
position as left back is where you play best. If you considered, considering the casualties we've got in defence, is playing in a different position.
No sería la primera vez.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Mi principal deseo es jugar.
Obviously, my main objective and main desire is to play, and so whatever the coach thinks best is what I'll give my maximum to, and trying to help the team, even though it's not my natural position.
Espera el micrófono.
Hola Marcos, ¿cómo habéis afrontado el equipo la llegada del liderato en la Liga? ¿Os ha reforzado de moral, de confianza para afrontar estos partidos este mes de octubre tan duro?
Reaching the top the standings in La Liga, has that helped the team into these matches in October? He says, well, it's a nice start, but the best thing is where we are at the end of the season. It's obviously better being there than not, but we need to keep working in the same way, and that would be keep improving and having enthusiasm, and we hope the results arrive.
No sé si el mensaje que os ha trasladado Xavi de cara a este doble enfrentamiento.
So the message that Xavi's given in this back-to-back, because he'll play them next week in Barcelona, this is like a knockout in the round of 16, because here you've got options to move through to the next round. Well, we know it's an important match. Inter is a very good team. They're really well. They work really hard. They're very physical. They've got a lot of quality up front, and they'll create difficulties for us. But we're also working really well. We come into this match in a great moment, and we know the importance of the 3 points available tomorrow.
Ciao Marcos, per la Rai ti chiedo una cosa. Arrivate molto favoriti a questa partita.
You're coming to this match as favourites.
Ma credo che in questi giorni
What do you expect from Inter?
L'Inter è una grande squadra, no?
He says they've got a really good team.
Ha lavorato bene negli ultimi anni e sono molto
I
forti.
played against them in the last year that I was there. I know the quality they've got in attack, and that will assure that it will be a difficult match for us tomorrow.
Ciao. In passato si è parlato spesso di te di nuovo nel campionato italiano, della possibilità di tornare a giocare in Italia anche all'Inter. Quanto erano vere queste voci e quanto sei stato vicino all'Inter?
È vero che ci sono stati tanti
playing against
voci, no?
Inter once again.
Resta sempre
Says the rest of Italy is a country.
I 3 anni a Firenze.
When I trained and played with
c'è stata la possibilità.
Firenze,
Il mio desiderio era tornare in Spagna e
there's a possibility, but I decided to return to Spain.
Di Barcelona,
And when the possibility to go to Barcelona came up,
di non ascoltare altre offerte, no?
I didn't listen to any other offers.
Per un futuro non si sa mai, ma adesso sono molto contento di essere qui.
But the reality is that I'm very happy to be here.
Hola Marcos, Edu Polo Mundo Deportivo. Tú acabas de llegar, jugaste el partido de Múnich.
Since you just arrived when you played the match in Munich, did you see the enthusiasm from your teammates to be back in Europe? And you see the enthusiasm to win another important match in Europe? Says, yeah, aside from being on the European stage, we've always got that enthusiasm to win. We've got a team that are ready to fight for everything, and the motivation and the desire is there. We just need to work and make sure that work is reflected on the pitch and we get the good result.
Adrián. Marcos, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Adrián Albets de la cadena SER. No sé hasta qué punto a ti te ha impresionado, te ha sorprendido el rendimiento de Robert.
Have you been impressed or surprised by the performance of Robert Lewandowski, both in training that you see every day and in the matches? And do you see him as the best number 9 in all of Europe, with respect to Haaland?
Sí, la verdad que le conocía de.
Yeah, the truth is, I'd already played against him, and I'd suffered against him.
Y bueno, sorprenderme. No me sorprende, pero sin duda.
I'm not surprised, but without doubt, I'd say he's one of the best, if not the best. He's very important to this team, and I hope he stays in this dynamic because he's very important to us.
Hola Marcos, buenas tardes. Elena Condis de la cadena COPE. Vuestra posición, la del lateral izquierdo, es la única que está triplicada.
Says your position at left back is the only one that's tripled up. How is the dynamic with Jordi Alba, who was always in the starting 11, and now there's 3 of you? How are you guys getting on?
En cuanto a convivencia es muy buena, no solo entre
relationship's really good, not just
jugadores de la misma posición, sino
between players in the same position, but all the players.
El ambiente en el equipo es muy bueno y
team atmosphere is really good.
como el buen ambiente se ve reflejado.
So the competition and the good atmosphere is reflected on the pitch. All the matches we played today are important, and it's something good for the team.
Hola, Marcos. Bernat Soler, Catalunya Ràdio. ¿Esperabas jugar más?
Did you expect to play more than you have played since starting this season?
Bueno, acabo de llegar, ¿no?
Well, I only just turned up. I only just got here.
Obviamente creo que
obviously
queremos jugar
we all want to play all the matches.
Pero bueno, como he dicho antes,
but like I said before, my mission is to be ready for when the coach needs me.
Y bueno, poco a poco,
and little by little, we will see
si voy entrando más. Desde luego,
if I come on more.
Estoy bien, estoy contento.
But honestly, I'm good, I'm happy, and very keen.
Gracias, buena tarde.
Thank you, and good afternoon.
Marcos Alonso there talking to the media before the game, knowing obviously that he's got a lot of competition in his spot and he's going to fight for it. He says he's happy at the moment, and we'll see if he starts tomorrow.
Yes, and as he said, that he's ready to play wherever Xavi says. I mean, he said that he used to play as a central back, so it's no problem for him to start at this position.
Spence, very quickly on Marcos, because we have to go to Xavi.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how many of these guys have come to talk and then don't start. I'm hoping that he does, so that some of his words can come through.
Is that an indication that he might start tomorrow? We'll have to wait just over 24 hours. Let's go and listen to what Xavi Hernandez has to say, because he stepped into the press conference.
És una roda de premsa amb el tècnic del Futbol Club Barcelona, Xavi Hernandez. Sí. Comencem? Sí, Bernat.
Let's begin.
Hola, Xavi, bona tarda.
Bona tarda.
Bernat Soler, Catalunya Ràdio. Tradicionalment s'ha dit que els equips grans hi ha
Traditionally,
un equip amb un estil molt clar.
you say about big teams, and Barça have got a very clear style.
No sabien d'espantar.
No sabien d'adaptar.
They don't know how to adapt to the opposition. For their personality is too big, it's too difficult to adapt.
I en partits de la dimensió del de demà.
And he said matches with the size of the match tomorrow, playing away against Inter. It's something. Do you think you'll need to change? Will you change something precisely because the opposition knows how to exploit your weaknesses? He says one thing is knowing how to adapt. The other one is to try and change things to generate more opportunities based on their methodology. Whether you're trying to move the ball around differently. One of the great things about that we're doing well at Barça lately is something I'm not going to change. In Barça, maybe I'll play in lines of three or one more midfielder. But it's something that we want to impose on the opposition to play with more personality or impose our game on them. We analyze a lot the opposition, the coaches, the teams, everything. But what we need to do is try and improve on our methodology. Maybe we take a step back, or in this case, we want to take a step forward and impose our personality, depending on what stadium we're playing at. But our DNA is that. He's asking how the team faces a match like this tomorrow when you've got the same points in the group, playing in Italy, where they're not necessarily coming into the best form. He says we got in their form. That doesn't mean anything. We've played a lot of matches. We come in favourites, and then we've not pulled it off. And the opposite's also happened. It's Inter, they're a really strong squad. They work really hard. They've got a strategy really different than what we've faced so far. They've got a good coach that creates really good attacking movements. They've got really different dynamics. They've got two forwards. We don't find that very often now in Spain in La Liga. They're a strong opposition. I would say again, this is one of the worst groups we've had in the Champions League in recent years. It's a really difficult opposition. We're coming into this with a good dynamic, with good game, with good results, but we need to show this. Bayern weren't forgiving. We were more effective, but they matched the game we played in Munich, and the result played off for them.
Raúl Fuentes de Radio Marca en directo. No sé si tienes pensado ya el 11 que va a salir.
He's asking if you already thought about the starting lineup tomorrow. And no está Lukaku tomorrow. It's doubtful that Martinez there, who's one of the great attackers. Have you considered playing with 3 or 4 at the back, or will you wait till the final training? He says, I've got it pretty clear in my head. We've got training. I hope there's not going to be any dramatic changes, but I've got things pretty clear for tomorrow, despite the not knowing what the opposition will do tomorrow. But we know we can dominate, keep hold of possession, move into the opposite area. What we keep working on the last few months. It's an important match in the Champions League. It's not a crucial match, but not a definitive match. But it's very, very important to try and move on from the group.
Albert Hernández.
Hola Xavi, Albert Hernández de Televisión Española. Quería saber si el hecho de haber acabado ya la jornada de Liga siendo líderes.
So he's asking the fact that you ended the last match day top of the league. Is that something that creates good feeling and enthusiasm for moving into the next match? He says it's a good thing for morale and confidence, finishing at the top of the table after so many match days, that we're working on things well, that we're in good dynamic, but this is a different story. We come away from not winning any points in Munich. It's a very important match for us, for the group and for the team to show our personality and show that this is our moment to play well in this competition. We're going to have a good match tomorrow.
Xavi Hernandez, del diari Ara. Has parlat abans que l'opció de...
So he said you spoke before, but the option of having 3... Is something you've got in mind? Is it something that you might change, having an opposition that plays 3?
Bueno, a nivell tàctic...
At a tactical level, what I see more is, depending on what point they play, if they play to run like Real Sociedad, we'll have a defender left over. We'll see tomorrow how we adjust, but I think we could maybe reinforce the midfield or the attack, be a little bit braver in such an important match like we did against Real, and it worked out well, so we need to risk it maybe. That's our philosophy, keep moving forward, take hold of the ball in the match, not let the opposition run forward. They're a very direct, vertical, physical team, and so we need to know how to defend that. It won't be easy, but we need to show our match style, our game style.
Hola Xavi, aquí Francesc Latorre de TV3. Després d'haver aconseguit això que comentaves ara, col·locar-se líders a la Lliga...
As mentioned before, coming to this match, leaders of La Liga. How is the atmosphere in the dressing room, playing an away match in Europe and in a home one? He says this is an important thing for morale and confidence. They're 3 important points for us, for our future in this competition. And so we'll go out tomorrow 100% to show what we can do, and we can win in difficult stadiums like this. It won't be easy. It's an opposition with a really good identity, but we'll do what we can.
Hola Xavi, Germán García, Radio Nacional. Se está valorando mucho la faceta goleadora del equipo con Lewandowski.
There's a lot of evaluations of Lewandowski and the form he's in, but no one's really talking about the fact that you've only conceded 1 goal in La Liga.
No sé si lo achacas a algo en concreto de lo que está pasando.
Sí, lo dije el otro día.
It's something I said the other day after the match. For me, it's important to defend well, defend high, the defensive line is high, to not allow many opportunities, to not concede. I think it's important in any competition. In the Champions League, that corner that Munich had really knocked us off our run because we had the game under control. These details, if you don't concede, in general, we're an attacking team. We create a lot of opportunities, and so we have the opportunity to score goals. So it's important not to concede, not just in La Liga, or both in the Champions League, both at home against Victoria Pilsen as away against Munich.
Hola, Xavi, Marta Ramon de RAC1. Et volia preguntar pel rol de Sergi Roberto, tenint en compte...
She's asking about Sergio Roberto.
Pot jugar de lateral dret, però també pot reforçar...
Could play on the right back, but you could also give support in midfield, which is things you've talked about.
Què pot suposar comptar amb una peça com ell?
Could that mean counting on a piece like him tomorrow, and also if he's physically ready for this kind of match? For me, Sergi is a guarantee, he says. He played really well last season, despite the doubts of whether he was going to renew his contract or not. But I always had it clear that he was a very important player for us. He's a perfect player to play on the inside, on the wing, as a pivot, in defensive midfielder, should he need to be. He's a player that's got a lot of confidence, despite the criticism that comes to us. But the coaches, we really value the professionalism in the dressing room, the players that work hard, they go out and play well, they put in a good performance. For me, that's something that's so important.
Hola, Xavi. Fa un moment parlaves de la importància de tornar a guanyar fora Europa.
This is the importance of winning away in Europe. The matches we've had difficulties in recent years in Munich, Lisbon, Liverpool. Is there a psychological thing there for Barça that you work on? He says, yeah, that's something we work on. We try and give the players confidence. In Munich, I think we had a superior game level than the opposition. They're favourites to win the Champions League, and so we played really well. But we need to be more effective. We need to compete better. But yeah, it's a psychological thing. We talk about that. We talk with the players individually and as groups. We give them chats. But this is a good moment for us. We're coming to this in a good moment. The opposition on, and we need to take advantage of that. And so we need to go out tomorrow and work our socks off from the first moment.
Hola Xavi, acá. Juan Irigoyen del Diario del País. Lewandowski lleva el 50% de los goles del Barça, 12 de 24.
Lewandowski scored 50% of the Barça goals.
37%. Ese porcentaje alto de Robert es una casualidad, es porque
This high percentage is something that's a coincidence, or is it the way the team are playing, the way he's playing, something you're working on as a team?
Bueno, no. Es una. Bueno, son números.
Those are numbers. His effectiveness. He's a tremendous player, very high-level player, spectacular player. We also need to work on the top goal scorers, but all the goals he scores are very welcome. There are goals that make a difference. We won 1-0 with one of his goals the other day, and so we're very happy with Robert, and everyone else needs to try and catch up with his numbers.
Filippo Conticello, La Gazzetta dello Sport. En español. Inter Barcelona significa también la semifinal de la
Inter Barcelona also reflects the 2010 Champions League semi-final, which was an historic moment for both teams and both groups of fans. What do you remember from this match? And do you have a feeling of personal vengeance coming back here to play this match? He says, no, I've not got this feeling. It's completely different. I'm here as a coach. That's in the past. Yeah, something I thought of. Of course, I remember that we had to go there in coach because of Volcano. It wasn't easy for us. We got ahead on the scoreboard, but they were an amazing team, very physical, very technical, worked really hard by Mourinho. And it was something that we weren't doing well in La Liga, but it was a very controversial match. I remember it was a controversial knockout, but that's the way things are. It's a bittersweet memory for us, unfortunately.
Buenas tardes, Xavi. Alfredo Martínez.
Buenas tardes.
El partido está marcado por las bajas. Me imagino
So
que
this match
las tuyas tienes 5 ausencias.
is noted by its the players that are out for injury, both in Barça and also in Milan. They've got Lukaku, Martinez, Brozovic. He says, yeah, both of us have got players out, but Inter have a really great squad. They work really well in attack, in defence. He says, whoever plays, Brozovic played last week, and they played really, really well. They thought they were going to look like they were going to win against Roma, but it's football. I wouldn't talk about the injuries. I'd talk about the block. They're very intensive, very strong in attack, very difficult for us. We're going to have it tomorrow. We'll see.
Hola Xavi, buenas tardes, Jordi Blanco de ESPN. Hablando del partido ese de 2010, la última vez.
Talking about the 2010 match, the last time that you were here, you lost the match. It was a very controversial knockout, as you said.
Pasado el tiempo, o que ahora en la
Do you keep thinking, as time passes, that the referees need to work more, both in Europe and in Spain? I've not really stopped to think about this. What I always think is that they should do is also have press conferences to explain themselves. This is something that I think would be very important for football. And if they can explain themselves, then we'd see them as humans a bit more. I always say the same. I have confidence in their ability to referee.
Buenas tardes, Xavi. Juan Martínez de La Vanguardia. No es una eliminatoria como la de 2010, pero sí son dos.
So it's not a knockout like 2010, but there are 2 matches against this team in 10 days.
No em condiciona, no, però sí que li dono molta importància perquè és...
We have to make note of the importance of this because it's the future of the competition for us. It's the Champions League. We're going to go far as we can in this competition. We need to show that we're competitive enough. We imposed our game style on Munich, but they in the end won the 3 points. So for tomorrow, it's important for us as well as them, and also the following week. They might not be definitive, but they'll be very important so that we can get through to the next round.
Para el chiringuito. Bueno, lo has ganado todo como jugador y ahora estás.
Says you've won it all as a player, now you've got this investment as a coach. Personally, what do you think is the most difficult competition to win, La Liga or the Champions League? It says also there are whispers about the return of Leo having the team as strong as they have. Would you like Leo in the starting 11 now for Barca? It says regarding the competitions, I think the Champions League is more complicated because you have to be just in the right perfect moment. Any detail could knock you out. It's not as fair as La Liga. Champions League, it's a little bit more fair. With Leo, I think is one of the best, and the same thing. I think you get there in the best moment, and in a moment you could have a penalty or a sending off, and you could get knocked out. We'll see how he is, but it's not the moment to talk about it. He's a friend. I want the best for him. Barca is his home, always will be his home. But it's not the moment to talk about this. We're not doing him any favours talking about this. He's there happy in Paris, and I want to wish him all the best.
Toni Martí de Relevo. Comentaves l'Inter, un equip que li encanta partir els partits, desordenar-los,
You said that Inter is a team that likes to try and divide the matches, cause a bit of chaos, cause problems.
I també de tornar, preparar-se per un partit en molts moments sense pausa.
Do you think this is a good moment after this break to play such a match? He said, no, not really. What we don't want is this. Playing in opposite ends. What we need is a bit of a block, both in defence and attack, to press high. We'll try and always keep the opposition submitting their half of the match. That's what we want, because we don't want to be broken up. We want players prepared for this. For us, it's very important to dominate the match and to try and keep a hold of the ball.
¿Estás de acuerdo con tus colegas que a partir de la pasada temporada, con el hecho que ya los goles fuera no valen el doble, acabar primero o segundo da igual? Lo importante es clasificarse.
Sí, ha perdido un poco
la importancia the importance has been lost a little bit playing at home or away from home. I think it's important because scoring a goal away from home, you could speculate a lot with the rules before. So I think the new away rule is better for football.
No. Bueno, te lo hago en... Ah, vale, vale.
Ahora sí.
Juan Jiménez de AS. Quería preguntarte por Pedri. Porque
he wants to ask about Pedri.
Te refiere a que Perdón. Ahora. Que quería preguntarte por Pedri. Muchas veces hace énfasis en que tiene que mejorar el número de goles. Pero la pasada...
There's a lot of talk about Pedri, that he needs to improve his goal scoring. Is this number of goals something that's worrying for you? Or do you want him something else for in his way of playing? There are always things to improve. For the attacking midfielders, it's very important that they get to the area, they score goals, and they're important. But it's not always the last shot. It's that they create this play or they create this opportunity. And sometimes it's the player that creates the opportunity and sets up this kind of attack. He's a very important player for us. Gavi, Frank, they're very important. And it's important for us that the midfielders are creating opportunities on goal. Very important for the team, and especially Pedri. You've insisted in this press conference that the team has to play with a lot of personality tomorrow. They have to risk, they need to be brave. Have you considered that the strategy tomorrow will be different against Inter than we saw in Mallorca? Are you going to change things? He says, no, not a lot. The idea is this. You know me as a coach. The DNA is this. Try and keep hold of the ball, dominate the opposition. We can play that with 3-4 lines, with full-backs, with midfielders. It was one of the first questions that Bernat asked me was this: how do we adapt? Will we adapt to try and improve our methodology? We'll see tomorrow how we play, but the main thing is to attack better, defend well, and tomorrow is a very important match.
Cadena Cope, has insinuado que contra equipos que juegan con dos puntas,
you've insinuated that
salir con una defensa de tres y
against
lo ves también como carrilero.
teams with 2 forwards, you could play with 3 at the back, and Sergio Roberto could be a carrilero with the likes of Marcos Alonso, Christensen. Could you play 3 at the back with Christensen? So yeah, the signing of Marcos, for me, is extraordinary. He's able to play as a fullback. He can also play on the inside. He plays really well. He's one of the few left-footers that we've got in the squad, so he's a really good signing for us, despite having a really good role in fullback. I see him as quite well-rounded player in many different roles, so I think it's good for us to have alternatives.
Pues se lo digo a Inzaghi directamente.
Quería preguntarte por Lautaro Martínez. ¿Cómo lo ves como atacante? ¿Cómo ves que?
He's asking about Lautaro Martínez. How do you see him in attack?
Hoy la noticia del anuncio del retiro de Higuaín, otro jugador importante que ha pasado por España. Por
heard the announcement today.
¿Qué sensaciones te ha dejado su carrera? Y
is going to retire.
Martínez y Higuaín. Gracias.
He's a player that also came through Spain. How do you see Lautaro? He says Lautaro's a very important player. He's got a great thing that he plays really well in front of the goal. He's got some great movements as a footballer, really interesting.
Y de Pipa Higuaín, pues un futbolista que a mí me gustaba siempre.
Pipa Higuaín is a player that we've had to play against a lot in Real Madrid. He's a very good player.
Más allá de si ha jugado mejor, peor,
whether
ha sido ejemplar.
I design the better or worse, I think he's an example to the sport. He's always been professional, very respectful of the opposition, whether it's this rivalry that Barça Madrid have. He's had a very good career and he's been a very important player.
Hola, Giorgio Cegni, Sky Sport Italia.
Hola.
La pregunta es sobre Gavi, porque en ese estadio fue titular con la selección española por primera vez un año atrás y ha cambiado muchísimo.
He's asking about Gavi.
Quiero preguntarle cuánto es importante ahora Gavi para usted.
And the importance to Xavi and the Spanish side. How much has he grown in this past year? Because he's grown a lot, very quickly. He's still very young, but he's got majority in the play. He's got a very mature way of playing that's really good. He doesn't lose the ball so much, and he gives us intensity in match that's marvellous. The way that he recovers the ball, that he creates pressure, that he has to cover players like Bussi when he pushes forward. He's only 18 years old, and it's something that's marvellous for us.
Salve, mister Maurizio Pizzoferrato, Agenzia Area. Nel momento del sorteggio, all'Inter si sono messi le mani nei capelli, però hanno detto se vogliamo passare la corsa si fa sul Barcellona, come per dire Bayern è imbattibile, il Barcellona meno. Vi ha dato fastidio questa cosa o è normale che sia così?
Sí, más o menos, ¿no? Sí, molesta. Però qui ho dit això? Que sería una... que nos la jugaríamos Inter y Barça.
Sí.
Bueno, pues sí, parece que es así. ¿No? Al final hemos perdido los dos con el Bayern. Y bueno, si mañana es un partido...
He says both Inter and Barça have lost against Bayern, so it's a very important, existential almost match for these two teams. Let's see what Bayern do tomorrow, but we can't make mistakes. It looks like it's either Barça or Inter, and so we can't mess up. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Those were the words of our head coach, Xavi Hernandez. Just over 20 minutes of press conference. A very broad range of topics that was addressed. But I think the highlight there is Xavi hinting that we might have a change in formation tomorrow, because he said that when the opponent plays with two strikers, which is something that we don't usually see, like we did against Real Sociedad, maybe there's one defender that I don't need. And you put in an extra midfielder. That's maybe what we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, he said that Barça can easily play with 3, 4, or even 5 defenders. So it's, plenty possibilities for the lineup tomorrow. And obviously, if with injuries Barça have, it's important to balance the team for tomorrow's game.
The one thing that Xavi always stresses is that regardless of the formation, the idea is always the same. You want to dominate the ball. You want to keep your opponent in their half and essentially dominate the game.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when was the last time we saw a change like that. There was one earlier this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that I felt like that worked out. Generally speaking, it finished off well. I'm curious with Inter, based on who they decide to put out there tomorrow, how those formational changes will come about. Because if maybe Inter is thinking about the same thing.
Well, the players have stepped on to the training field, or to the field at the Giuseppe Meazza, where the game will be played tomorrow. And there we are. We'll show you the first 15-20 minutes of this training session. Of course, still waiting for Xavi Hernandez, who has to arrive after answering the questions of the media in the press conference. Spence, can you bring up that lineup against Real Sociedad? See how we played that day, because it was definitely 3 at the back. I remember distinctly that we played with Ferran Torres in an attacking midfielder position, with Lewandowski up front. I think it was kind of like a 3-4-3, something like that. Yeah, Xavi hinting that we might see a change in formation tomorrow to face Inter Milan. He did say that it doesn't matter what Inter have done up until now. It's a Champions League game. Sometimes you go in as favourites and then you lose.
And he used something which he called like Inzaghi's block. I mean, he said that although they lost 4 games this season, they are still good at defense. I mean, as all Italian teams, they are always well known from a good defending. And also some warm words about Lautaro Martinez. We don't know yet if he's going to play.
Mark.
Yeah, question mark, obviously. But as he said, good movement. He has a goal, a very talented player. He was rumored to go to Barça in, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. So let's see if we are going to see him in the lineup tomorrow.
Spence, that day we did play with 3 at the back, and it was Balde and Dembele playing as like the fullbacks going back and forth.
Yeah, there was really only one traditional winger in Dembele that you would say, because Balde was playing further up. 3-2-4-1 with Gavi and De Jong dropping back a little bit. Pedri and Ferran were playing in behind, or I should say in front of Lewandowski.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was something that we hadn't seen anything close to in the Xavi era.
Well, that's what he said, though, in the press conference. I mean, essentially what he said is when the opponent plays with 2 up front, tomorrow could be Zeko and Lautaro. If Lautaro's not fit, could be Correa. There's one defender I don't need, so just put him in midfield and try to create advantages there. We'll see. I mean, that's thrown off my guess. My guess for the lineup tomorrow. I want to know on the live chat, guys, on YouTube, the people who are watching us, what do you think the lineup's going to be? I mean, 3 at the back could feature, for example, Christensen, Eric, and Marcos Alonso, and then you've got Sergio Roberto could be playing on one wing. Rafinha can be a winger as well. Dembele can be a fullback. You've got, of course, Busquets, Gavi, Pedri, who could be in midfield.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're going to put
Lewandowski up front,
if you're going to well, thank you for that. If you're going to put 3 at the back, I would think that the likes of Balde and Jordi Alba, who are less traditionally straight up central defenders. maybe Marcos Alonso can play that role on the left-hand side among the
Or maybe
three.
you can play Marcos Alonso in the left-hand side of the back three, right? And then you can have Balde going up and down, for example.
Right, or if you decide that you want a little bit more attacking prowess against a team like Inter as opposed to Sociedad, which I think the goals perhaps came almost too easy in that game, is that instead of Balde, you put the Dembele-Rafinha combination out on the wing.
Maybe. I mean, there's plenty of options. Obviously, we do have those 5 absences: Bellerin, Frankie de Jong, Memphis, Araujo, and Koundé, the 5 players that Xavi won't be able to count on. Xavi did talk as well about the block of Inter Milan, despite the injuries they have, Brozovic and Lukaku mainly. He said, don't focus on them, focus on the idea that they have their systems. And for example, he mentioned the game against Roma at the weekend. He said they deserved to win, that they played well, just didn't get the result. And that is what he seemed more concerned about, trying to beat that unit of Inter Milan rather than the players who are out.
Interesting fact that Inzaghi says we deserve the win against Bayern at his press conference. That Inzaghi said that Barça deserves that win. Yes, as Xavi said, as you Robert said, that block, I mean, could be a very difficult for Barça tomorrow, and I think that's where but Xavi said that he already knows the 11 he will put tomorrow, so I think it's prepared for this block, he said on the press conference.
Right, we have Bruno there at the Giuseppe Meazza. Bruno, your conclusions after listening to the press conferences of Marcos Alonso and Xavi. We were just talking about probably the highlight of Xavi's press conference is maybe hinting a change in formation for tomorrow.
Yes, hello everyone here from San Siro. Yes, of course there are many possibilities. Xavi has explained it in the press conference, has been joking at the same time that of course he's not going to give clues, he's not going to explain Inzaghi yet his idea, but the reality is that with all the squad Barça has, the options are a lot, but on the other hand, Barça has the DNA and the personality, of course, to place their starting 11 without thinking at all how Inter are going to play this game, because of course are a team that are playing with 2 forwards, that they also have really important players that will won't be parts tomorrow of this game. They still have Lautaro Martinez, for example, as a doubt until the final minute. So yes, of course, Barça has lots of possibilities to play with 3 at the back. Has been, of course, talking about Marcos Alonso. Has been a fantastic signing, as he can play as a left back, as a centre back. It's one of the fewest left-footed players in the squad, and that's also something to take into account. So yes, in the end, Robert, there are many possibilities for Barça, but my headline at least is that Barça are going to play their way without thinking at all how Inter are going to face this match.
Absolutely non-negotiable for Xavi Hernandez. The players warming up there before their training session. Bruno, what is the state of the field of play? Because I saw maybe the grass is a little bit patchy in some points.
Yes, no, but conditions in general seems to be quite good. Quite good. This is, of course, an historic ground, San Siro. Last Champions League final was played in 2016. That derby between Real Madrid, Atletico de Madrid. Also, Valencia lost the Champions League final here in 2001. We're talking about a really historic ground that actually is going to be rebuilt in 2026 between the 2 clubs that they own this stadium, Internazionale and of course also AC Milano. But grass looks quite good from here. We are really close to the field. 80,000 spectators, of course, that tomorrow are going to be fully packed, this field. The Italian atmosphere, as always, it's a tough one to face. But at the same time, the motivation, I think, for FC Barcelona of a big day. Here we have now Robert Lewandowski coming to our camera. He's going to switch, actually, his boots. The Polish striker, who's, of course, absolutely on fire. 12 goals so far this season. And, another of the big names. We have been also talking to Italian journalists. They say, of course... I like a headline that they've explained us, that I've been asking them if they think that now Barça seems to be stronger than a year or 2 years ago, and they told me, here in Italy, Barça always have been considered as a top club, even these last seasons that haven't been the best ones. So they respect a lot FC Barcelona, but of course they all are a bit scared, I think, of the moment of shape of this team, and especially Robert Lewandowski.
You mentioned, Bruno, that you've been talking to some members of the Italian media. What did they make of this start by Simone Inzaghi's Inter, which has got 5 wins, 5 defeats, 4 wins and 4 defeats in the Serie A, and 1-1 in the Champions League? It's not been the best of starts. What do they make of it?
Absolutely, and as you also mentioned during the show, today in the front page of La Gazzetta dello Sport says that Simone Inzaghi is under pressure completely after these last results. They were really worried, not just of course with all the absences and the problems they are having up front. They are worried because of all the problems in defense. Of course, in Italy, it's traditionally a country where they always build the teams from the back, and that they don't like to concede goals, and they are quite not happy at all with the way the team are performing at the back. Also, I mean, people are talking a lot about the absences of Lautaro, possible absence of Lautaro, or also Lukaku, of course, but they also say that the absence of Brazovic is going to be really, really tough, because he's one of the top players of this squad, and he's not going to be able to play tomorrow. But yes, I mean, they know that Inter are not arriving in their best, but at the same time, and also, well, this was my question to Xavi, I mean, if the moment of shape of Inter is going to also affect or not, and he says that this is the Champions League, Inter are an historic side, and in the end, it's true that they arrive in a bad dynamic and Barça in a good one, but well, the team will have to show it on the field tomorrow during the 90 minutes that they are a better team than the Italian side.
And we were just seeing, Bruno, the Marcos Alonso, who talked in the press conference as well. His answers were fairly short and to the point, but he did mention, obviously, the competition that he has in that position with Jordi Alba and Balde competing for that left full-back spot. He says he's happy at the moment. He says he's going to fight for his minutes, and the competition makes every player better.
Absolutely. In the end, I think Xavi is managing quite well so far the way of sharing minutes with the 3 of them. We saw Jordi Alba playing the other day in Mallorca in the starting lineup. Marcos was a starter in the game against Bayern Munich, a really important one. They actually asked him today if he was expecting to play more minutes, and he basically said, I mean, I've just arrived to the club, so I have to go step by step. But then, of course, Alejandro Balde, I mean, he's one of the big impacts of this season so far. So absolutely, he deserves to be playing also in that spot. But well, now of course with all the absences in defense, there are possibilities to even see 2 of them in the same lineup, like we saw the other day in Mallorca, with Balde playing in the right and Alba in the left. But yeah, we can assume also that Alonso, if he's not starting, he's gonna be important in tomorrow's game, as he rested the other day against Mallorca. He also was off during the international break. So, I mean, we can't expect, of course, to have Alonso starting tomorrow like he did against Bayern Munich.
I want to ask the guys here in the studio, guys, what is the ideal script for tomorrow for Barca in the game? Because I'd say the way we came out against Bayern Munich is the way to go. It's just you have to capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, a quick goal. I think it will be a perfect start. I mean, in the first, let's say, 10 minutes, it will be a perfect start.
Take the pressure off of Barca and put the pressure on Inter, right?
Exactly.
A team that's, as we said before, in a bit of a desperate situation.
Yeah, I don't think we want to automatically assume that Xavi's going to make this formation change, but let's just say for hypothetical purposes he does, then I want the first 10-15 minutes to be without a sniff of the opposition's attacking third. I mean, without a possibility of getting a shot off in the box. I want the back 3, which I guess in theory, if we're trying to figure out who that would be, if you put Alonso on the left, then you've got Christensen, and then maybe Eric or Piqué. Yeah. Those are pretty much your options. Yeah. So I want those 3 organized, and the defense in front of them. If you do put 2 more up there, Frankie de Jong and maybe Busquets.
No, de Jong's out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, Busquets is what I meant. Or maybe Kessié as well for a physical presence in that spot. I just want some organized defense. Then, yes, obviously, let the people up front do what they do, and hopefully you get a goal early.
Definitely. And the last time, Bruno, that Barca did play with this system with 3 at the back and more like deep wingers at the Real Arena, we did get that impactful start with Lewandowski scoring in the second minute.
Absolutely. In the end, it was a 4-1 win. Although, yeah, I mean, it was a big difference in the end of the result. But the team also suffered in some moments in that game at the Real Arena. But the script worked well for Xavi. I mean, my conclusion is that the team has such a really long squad. You have all these possibilities, and in the end, that's fantastic because your opponents, when they have to prepare this match, well, you are kind of unpredictable in this case. Now it's true that unfortunately after this international break, the absences list is quite long for Barça. But yeah, I think tomorrow can work the fact to start with 3 at the back. And we also have to explain to everyone, I mean, that Inter are kind more of a traditional Italian side to run, make counterattacks, defend a lot. Not like Napoli, for example, that we have been facing on recent years, or even AS Rome. I mean, Inter are this kind of more traditional Italian side to be really solid at the back. So we can expect a really different script also to the game that we saw in the Allianz Arena, because Bayern are also a team that they like to fight for the ball. I don't think it's going to be the case tomorrow with Internazionale. I think the Barça are going to dominate much of the match, and then the Italian side will try to play from the back and surprise Barça in counterattacks. So yeah, we can expect Barça to dominate. It's going to be really important to be clinical, because the team was not clinical at all against Bayern Munich, and in the Champions League and playing away, you need to be clinical. So I'll imagine that this is one of the facts that the team has learned a lot from the game against Bayern Munich.
You talk about being clinical, and Xavi was asked in the press conference, Natalia, about the percentage of goals of Robert Lewandowski. 50% of Barca's goals have come from Lewandowski, and he did say, okay, those are just numbers, obviously, and we're always happy when Lewandowski scores, but the other players are going to have to step up and be more clinical and take their opportunities.
Yes, exactly. I mean, for example, in the game against Bayern, Pedri has a clear one.
Yeah. And Pedri mentioned it after the game.
Yes, exactly, that he needs to capitalize those kind of situations. And yes, Xavi said those are just numbers. Obviously, Lewandowski is a forward, he's a striker, so there is, I would say, more pressure on him if we are talking about goals. But obviously, we are also count on Dembélé and Rafinha and Pedri if he has a chance like that one against Bayern. I mean, he needs to score it.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing that chance and going, that's one that Pedri's not going to forget for a while.
Yeah.
And you're going to,
in fact, he had against Bayern Munich. The one at the one that's saved by the keeper, and then the one that hits the post in the second half.
Right. Well, when you hit the post, I think you can at least feel better about yourself in a sense, because especially from where it was. But when you can't put one away like the first one, I was saying he's going to lose sleep over that. And now, this is the type of football that Barca are playing. He's going to be in a position where he's going to be able to take more shots like that and be able to put them away. So you do want to take a moment to be frustrated in the moment that you didn't get it, that you didn't score, but now it's a new game and you need to put that behind you. You can't forget about it.
You talk about him being in those positions, and in fact in the game against Mallorca the other day, he was in that position and didn't realize he was in that position because he had his back to goal and tried to feed it to someone else, and you saw the frustration on his face, and he just, that's maybe just the only aspect he needs to improve of his game.
It's tough because I'm sure Xavi, as we've talked about in here as well, wants Pedri to shoot more. I mean, he wants to unleash him, but you also have to understand that the amount of opportunities that come, this isn't the right month to tell him, hey, just shoot whenever you get a chance.
No, obviously.
Because right now there's so many games that have the most importance. He can't be taking his chances in games like this as opposed to when you're playing Cadiz or Valladolid or whomever.
We're coming towards the end of these minutes of training session that we've been showing you. Bruno, the planning for the team until kickoff.
Well, tomorrow a little bit of activation probably in the hotel, like normally when there is a match day. And at 9 p.m. Central European time kickoff here in San Siro. The hotel is really close to this neighborhood in the west of Milano. Just 10 minutes by bus, and the team will arrive, and they're really close to this arena, to this ground. So, well, it's Champions League mood. The players are really focused on what they know they have to do. Are going to be two crucial games against Internazionale. It's going to be like a tie. away and then a home match in just 8 days. So crucial moments for FC Barcelona in this Champions League. Grand game tomorrow here in Milano. It's going to be a full Giuseppe Meazza, actually. The two ways that this stadium is called, when Inter plays or when Milano plays. So, well, big day, 30 seconds to end this first 15 open minutes in the media. We have here a big screen in the Giuseppe Meazza, guys, so everyone really excited and everyone really focused on this match.
Just one quick question, Bruno. Quick question, quick answer. What pizza are you getting tonight?
Pepperoni.
Okay, good.
All
Enjoy
right.
it, Bruno. Thank you. We'll
Yeah.
talk to you tomorrow. I envy Bruno now.
Yeah, me too.
The best pizza's down in Napoli, though. We can agree.
That's for sure.
But I mean,
there's plenty of pasta.
I've never been to Milan, but I assume the pizza there is good as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Right, guys, we're coming towards the end of the show. Care to venture a guess for the lineup tomorrow? Taking into account what Xavi's, or the clues that Xavi's given us potentially?
So I will stick to the classic 4-3-3.
Okay.
So if Sergio Roberto is fit, I think he's going to play. Then Eric and there's that between Piqué and Christensen, of course, and then Balde. I think he is going to play at the left back. Then I think the midfield is quite certain formation, because I think we are going to see Busquets and Pedri and Gavi, which is an obvious choice because they've been resting against Mallorca, and then Lewandowski, Dembele and Rafinha at the front.
Spence.
I'm going to take Xavi's advice, and I'm going to go 3-2-4-1. I'm going to put Marcos Alonso on the left-hand side of the back three with Christensen in the middle, and then I'll throw Eric Garcia in there as well. The two in a holding midfield role, I'll put Busquets, and I'm going to throw Kessié in there because I think even if he doesn't start in that particular position, he has a lot of familiarity with this league, especially this town and this opposition. And then the four would be essentially as two wingers, Rafinha and Dembele, and in the midfield, I'm going to put Pedri and Gavi, and then Lewandowski up front.
Okay, interesting. My guess would be Ter Stegen, of course, Christensen, Eric, Marcos, right wing back Dembele, left wing back Marcos, the three midfielders, Busquets.
You said Marcos twice.
Balde, I mean. Sorry, Balde on the wing, the three midfielders, Busquets, Gavi, Pedri, up front, Lewandowski, Rafinha. Okay. Right, guys, so that's it for today. Tomorrow, we're back. 8 o'clock local time, 1 hour before the game. We'll have Bruno there for the first 15 minutes at the stadium. Then we'll take over from here in the studio. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Yep, see you.
And let's hope it is to celebrate a Barca win in match day 3 at the Giuseppe Meazza against Inter. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and Visca Barça.